Hi, this video was supposed to discuss what quality recreation is, and it was going to showcase a storytelling game, but I'm waiting on some art from a friend. I also had to navigate some rough waters. This video is going to cover death, relationships, time, recreation, and for some reason, the Sims computer game. Here we go. A woman that I used to work with years ago passed away. I'm not going to give her name or say too much about her, because the details of her life belong to her family. But I'll say that she was impressive. She lived with considerable stress and worked hard every day, and almost always worked at night too. When I first met her, she was waiting tables at night while working as a phys ed teacher during the day. Anyway, years later, she developed a brain tumor, had it taken out, and was back to work a couple months later like nothing happened. She complained about work from time to time, but in the end, would just shrug it off and laugh. If you know me at all from watching a few of these videos, I'm not a fan of working your life away. But she was all about providing as much as she could for her children, even when they were adults. Even after she retired, she was still working hard as a mother and a grandmother. I'm not going to claim to be her best friend because I wasn't, but I recognize that she was an exceptional person. For that reason, we stayed in touch. It was just a phone call every few months. We'd catch up on recent news and reminisce about work. It was nice, and now that she's gone, I'm especially glad that I did. The other incident was that the feral cat who was born in my garage a little over 20 years ago had to be put to sleep. She lived there with her sister who died a few years ago, and well, they practically came with the house. Other than getting them neutered and providing a little bit of food and water, they didn't require much care. Missy and Farella were mostly feral. They had no intention of living indoors, and frankly, I expected them to die years ago to any number of violent incidents. But that never happened. Missy disappeared once for 3 months and then showed up looking emaciated. I think she got stuck in someone's garage or basement, maybe while they were away. But whatever happened, she wasn't telling. Anyway, there's like a 50% chance that you're not a cat person, but hear me out. These cats weren't a huge part of my life. I did my people things and they did their cat things. But I would say that I'd spend anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes with them each day for nearly 2 decades. Some of that was just feeding them, giving them a pat on the back, or maybe a scratch behind the ear. But they'd also come out of nowhere whenever I came home. If I was sitting outside or gardening, they would occasionally brush up against my leg or back, especially if I was sitting down, and then just hang out. Keep in mind, they generally didn't want to be touched unless they were being fed. Then it was okay. They would also lay out sacrifices of birds, mice, and snakes. It's not my choice of sacrifice, but I appreciated the effort. When both of them were alive and I got into the habit of going for walks with the dog or by myself, they would tag along for a few blocks. When it was just Farella, she kept up the tradition, although she didn't go as far. Mind you, I didn't teach them to do any of this, they just did it. When Missy died in the garage, where she was born, I thought that Farella was going to go soon too, but she didn't really show signs of age for 3 years. Animals are like that. They don't know that they're old. They just keep doing animal things until they can't, and I think we should try to do the same. 2 weeks ago, Farella started to slow down, and the weather was cold. Then she started eating less, and soon after, she couldn't walk very well. For the first time, I was able to pick her up and bring her inside to a bathroom where it was warm. The next day I took her to the vet, who confirmed my suspicion that Farella was indeed out of lives. I petted her at the base of her tail, which she liked, and then scratched her behind the ear, which she also liked, and the doctor put her to sleep. The point of all this is not to bring you down or seek consolation. And frankly, if you live long enough, you already know the deal. No one lives forever, and whether you can see the end coming or it's unexpected, it's tough to deal with. I find that it helps you take some time out of your day to appreciate anyone in your life by spending a little time with them. Be the person who asks their neighbor how they're doing and actually listen to what they say. Call that relative or friend you haven't spoken to in months. Maybe you can send a text, write an email, or a handwritten letter if you're living in a Jane Austen novel. We always think about it when someone passes, right? And then it's too late. Reminds me of a quote from Excalibur. Anyway, this all reminds me of a paper I did on The Sims. It's a goofy life simulator, but in some ways it's brilliant. It sort of acknowledges Maslow's hierarchy of needs, with one of those needs being your need for social interaction. If you spend time with people doing various activities in the game, it would improve your relationship with that friend and improve your social and fun meters. What I thought was really interesting was that The Sims was about time management. You had to set aside time for a job, household chores, fun, and a social life. The Sims acknowledged that sometimes the best you could manage was a few minutes on the phone chatting. Maybe I'll do a video on The Sims one day, but today is not the day. Okay, that's it. I hope that this video will encourage you to take some time out to show your appreciation to someone who deserves it while you still can. I think it's worth the effort. What do you think? Let's discuss this in the comments section. Bye.